I'm Fred Romero.
I'm Marianne Costabile.
And this is American Rifleman News Television.
We're here today in El Monte, California to discuss firearm issues with American shooters.
Do you use a custom shotgun at all?
Yes. Yes, it's my...
It has been modified for you.
Oh yeah, it was made, Browning made a special one for me. He present, the factory present a special one to me when I got the World Championship.
So you did get the World Championship in what type of shooting?
International Olympics kid shooting.
Oh really? Very good,
yes.
Very good. And when you got this shotgun from Browning, did you have to take it somewhere, or did you put it in the mail?
No, I take it with, no. Like in the 60s, when I was traveling, I give it to the pilot. The pilot took my gun.
Right.
You know, and then when I was going down to the airplane, they give me my gun back. And now I declare my gun when I get to the airport. There's a person that takes care of my gun and put it with the luggage.
With the luggage.
With the luggage. And then when I get to the airport, they get my gun back.
So how do you feel about the recent gun laws that have been passed in January?
Well, as what I would like to think of as a legitimate shooter, the burden of being thought of as misusing of firearms bothers me personally a little bit. I don't think that anything restrictive to me or any of the shooters I know is going to do anything to solve crime.
Do you feel that there are laws that could be passed to fight crime?
It might be a good idea to have young people assigned to a mentor program in which they become acquainted with the legitimate use of guns rather than the negative crime approach to it.
And would you offer something like that in a school environment, or would that be a private environment?
A school if possible, but probably private.
So Jerry, you've been shooting since 1967, is that right?
Yes.
And what do you think the major changes have been over the years to your use of firearms?
Well, there's as far as I know, there's always been registration. I remember I bought a rifle back in the 1960s, and there was a few days delay before I could go and pick it up. So I don't see that the background check is anything new. They did that to me back then and everybody else.
So the NICS check has not affected you at all?
The what check?
The NICS background check?
Oh, no. No, I don't think so.
Not any more than it had before?
No.
Who are you going to vote for in the governor's race in California, Jerry?
Probably Richard Riordan.
And why would that be?
Oh, it just happens that I've met him in some places, and I think that he's a good leader and a good organizer.
Do you have a modified firearm? Do you have a special, anything special done to your skeet gun?
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you had it taken to a gunsmith and to make it better in any way.
Oh, of course. You buy a shotgun and then you modify it to your likes. It's usually the way it works.
And have you had any problems with taking it to your firearms?
No.
Your repair?
No, we all have our own guys that we like. I deal with R&D. Some people deal with other guys. But there's no problems that I know of.
Have you tried to transfer any firearm that's been modified?
Transfer.
Did you want to sell one? Let's
Resell?
say. Yeah.
I haven't resold any. You usually wear them out, throw them back in the gun safe.
So you haven't transferred any firearms
No.
that you've modified?
No, not really.
Great. Do you have any idea of who you'd be supporting for governor of California?
I haven't decided that yet.
Who are you leaning toward?
The one that's in now.
Ray Davis?
And my name is Andy Signs, and I've been shooting for about 50 years.
Oh, 50 years. It's quite a long time.
Yes.
What type of firearms do you shoot?
I like them all.
You like them all?
I like them all, yes. I like a lot of pistol shooting is what I try and do mostly.
Do you shoot competition in pistols?
No, just bullseye. Just bullseye.
When you're out here at Triple B, do you come out often?
About maybe every other weekend I come out.
And what are you shooting today?
Ski.
I see.
Shooting with a friend of mine.
Are you shooting the competitions?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
How do you feel about the firearm regulations that have recently been passed in January?
Well, I don't think they're good. I don't think they're good for the country. I think that a lot of people are not really educated. They're being misled by self-serving individuals, mainly politicians. And I think that people need to get in touch with what our Constitution is about, and they need to be a little bit more broad-minded when it comes to what firearms are used for. We just had a terrible thing happen to our country with box cutters. That's something that we can get at any hardware store, and they were used to change this country in a way that we never thought was possible. So, when I think about that, it's not that guns are the issue, it's people. And I think that that's something that is really not understood. We want to stop crime. We have to enforce the law. We have a huge number of laws on the books that aren't being enforced. And I think it's done deliberately that they're not enforcing these laws. We want issues. The people that want to take our guns away seem to just want something to talk about that gets people all excited, and it accomplishes nothing. If we follow the laws, enforce the laws, we may not have the ugly things happening to us that are happening now.
Would you support total registration of firearms?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Would never. That, to me, that is that's not in my way of thinking at all. Not at all.
Do you have any idea who you would be supporting for Governor of California?
Well, it won't be it won't be Gray Davis. It will not be a liberal, and probably not a Democrat.
So who are you leaning toward then?
Who would you be leaning towards?
Well, right now, the names aren't that familiar to me. I know there's 2 Republicans running for governor, and I haven't quite got into that yet. But I know I'm not going to vote for anybody that has any thought of controlling fire.
My name's Lynn Schwitz. I've been shooting since 1959.
Lynn, what kind of shooting have you been doing since 1959?
I started out shooting trap with my dad, and I went into skeet, and then, because I like the friendship, talking to people as we rotated around. And then at 60, 61, I was on the All-American team.
So you've been primarily a shotgun shooter?
All my life.
I would imagine that you use a custom gun or a shotgun that's been made special for you?
Yeah, I use a 4-barrel set.
When you need work done on that gun, how do you get it to the gun stick?
I've never needed work on my guns.
So you've been lucky. Just out of the box, it works well for you.
I find out if you pick it up and feel it, it fits, you can tell right away.
Are there any gun laws that were recently passed in California that you're aware of that bothered you or you're concerned about?
Not really, because I put my guns in my car and I've had no trouble with them traveling until probably September the 11th, but I've never traveled since then. But prior to that, I just took them on airplanes to Hawaii and Washington and Texas.
Do you have any concerns about gun legislation in the future, either on the local level or the national level?
Really, I'm not that familiar with it, but I would think it's going to be a lot tougher. And I doubt if I'd want to send my gun on an airplane and have it in my control anymore.
Other than traveling with the gun, what other issues do you think are important for shooters, especially active shooters?
As far as the laws would go?
Yes.
You know, I'm not that familiar with all the laws. It's so far now. I think we still have as much freedom today as we had, 10, 15 years ago.
Are you the only one in your family that shoots regularly?
Yes, I am.
Your wife doesn't shoot?
No.
And do you come out here on a fairly regular basis to Triple B?
I move around to different gun clubs and just shoot, on Saturdays here and there. And I might shoot a couple of tournaments a year or so.
Lynn, do you have any ideas on who you might vote for governor in California in the upcoming election?
It'll be a Republican.
No matter what their views are on
No matter what their views are.
Joe, for the people that don't get to the movies much, could you tell us your full name and how long you've been shooting?
Yes, my name is Joe Penny, and I've been shooting for about 4 to 5 years now.
What kind of shooting?
I shoot, I've shot it all: sporting clay, 5-stand, trap, skeet. I prefer sporting clay. I like sporting clay.
Pretty much shotgun, though.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I do a lot of handgun shooting too, indoors in Burbank. I have a few indoor ranges there, and for stick targets, that's a lot of fun. But obviously coming out here, it's all shotgun. And I'm kind of getting to the point now where I'm really preferring the shotgun more than anything else. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and brings to mind a few questions. With pending legislation and legislation that has already come and gone regarding firearms ownership, how has that affected you as a shotgunner?
It really has not affected me. I'll tell you, for me personally, I don't have any problems with you purchase a gun and they run a check on you for 15 days, 30 days. I personally have a problem with that because I'm not going to do anything illegal. I'm fine with that. I just use it for shooting and target practice and whatnot. But I think it also helps, keep it out of the hands of people who shouldn't be having guns. But it doesn't really affect me personally. For me, there's a lot of pros and cons about guns are bad and people are bad and people use guns and guns are the problem and people are the problem. Guns have personally saved my life. I wouldn't be here if I did not have home protection away.
So you had occasion to rely on a firearm?
Save my life. Save my life. So it's into my story. That's it.
Yeah,
so I don't have I don't have a question about it. You can talk to me till you're blue in the face. It saved my life.
So you're pretty solid on your opinions there.
Big time. Yeah.
Are you a member of any national gun groups?
No, I'm not. I do go up to this Safari Club International. I go to a lot of their because I like the outdoors. They have a lot of the outdoor camping goods, sporting things, RVs and guns and things like that. So I go to a lot of their conventions. But no, I'm not a member of it.
Do you worry about traveling with your gun when you go somewhere, especially out of state?
Well, if you do it right, I mean, yeah. The only way you don't have to worry about it is you're up and above board with it. If ever I travel, so say to an event where I'm going to work, or I'm going, I do a lot of stuff in Portland, a lot of stuff in Texas, a lot of stuff in Tennessee. You go in and you have your gun, you have the lock on your case, you have your gun broken, or a shotgun I'm talking about, or a handgun, or a pistol. And you tell them what it is, and I always have a copy of my license that I own it. It's registered to me. Here's my registration number. Check it out. Not a problem. It's never a problem. The only time you have a problem with a gun is when you're doing something you shouldn't be doing.
Okay.
It's just.
You mentioned that gun laws per se don't bother you because you're not going to do anything wrong anyway. But some of these gun laws are set up to charge fees. And there's a monetary factor involved.
That I'm not real privy to. I'm privy to a few of the gun laws, but probably not as versed as you are. So that I don't know about. But all I can tell you that if there's any law that are passed to take these away from us, it's wrong. It's just wrong.
So that's where you draw the line.
That's where I draw the line. And you know what? Bad guys give up their guns, I'll give up my guns. It's a lot like drugs. Drugs are illegal too, but you know what? I can pick up the phone and I can get you some. You can pick up the phone and get some. Anybody, if you want to. It's just that simple. Just because you make a law, it's all going to be better.
Excuse me for interrupting.
Sure.
When it comes to the next governor of California, that could be very important as far as what laws may or may not be passed and how gun owners will be treated. Have you thought about who you might vote for?
No, I haven't thought about that at this moment. But, I know that Gray Davis situation is it's a real problem for everybody. But I mean, I voted, so I'm going to be certainly be looking into it. But I'm going to look specifically into the gun laws, into all those things that could disenfranchise us from having guns. I just, if you're responsible, if you're a responsible person, I don't see any problem.
We're here today to talk about firearm regulations and some of the federal laws that have been passed recently. Do you have an opinion on that?
I do. I'm not very comfortable with any of them.
Can you explain in detail?
If you could ask me questions more in the line of particular laws, I'm not pleased with the state of California at all in terms of handguns and
is that because of the registration laws?
Registration laws, and also your ability to only purchase one gun within a given time period. I think that it's a little ridiculous.
The one gun a month law
Yes,
we're talking
yes.
about. How do you feel about the safety laws that we have here, child safety laws in California?
I think that they're a little extreme and impractical. For handguns to have to leave with the trigger locks on them, I think that responsible owners can provide sufficient safety for the guns without having further government mandate.
Now, what kind of responsibility do you think a parent should take with firearms in the home and children?
I think that education is the first place to start. I think that there also should be a safe place to put firearms. But the proper respect for children and firearms is through education, not through further laws.
Do you have a proposal as to the education that we should take, a course of action for education?
Well, I think that should be decided by individual families, and that I think should be part. I think that should be given. That duty in terms of education should be given to the individual gun owners.
A lot of the pro-self-defense organizations offer firearm education for children. Do you find that that's an appropriate way?
Yes, I do think that is an appropriate way.
Do you belong to any of the pro-self-defense organizations?
Yes, I do.
And what are they?
The NRA. I would assume that the National Skeet Shooting Association is also a pro-defense. I am also involved in Ted and Ted's Club, and am a big fan of Ted's.
And do you shoot skeet?
I shoot skeet, and I am an avid big game hunter and bird hunter.
Wonderful. What type of firearms do you own?
I own many firearms, everything from rifles to shotguns to handguns, as well as muzzle loading.
Do you shoot competitively?
Yes, I do.
And what type of
I shoot
competitions?
competitively in skeet.
I see. Interesting sport.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of fun.
What is your name and what do you do?
My name is Joshua Lucky. I'm a FFL license holder, and my trade is a gunsmith and stockmaker.
Wow, a gunsmith and a stockmaker in FFL. The firearm regulations that have been recently passed must affect you quite a bit.
Yeah, they do affect me.
How do you feel about those?
Well, I feel that they're all out of line, and then it should be changed, some of those.
And what in particular are you finding? I know there have been some new regulations imposed on us January 1st. Are those impacting your business at all?
Yeah, well, first, like having a safe in your home, gun locks that it really don't do any good. I mean, if you don't put them on, it's up to the individual. And those things that really affect our business, because then we have to sell them the locks and all those things. Some people don't want to buy it when they get their guns.
Do the regulations, do they affect your business personally, or is it just your clients that they're affecting?
Well, affect both of us, because they don't want to pay, and I get stuck with the merchandise. And the law said that I have to have it.
What are some of the new laws for FFLs?
All those said that we're gonna have to provide locks for guns, and asked a silly question like you said, do you want a safe at home where you could store your gun, you know, and things like that. You know, it's kind of embarrassing to ask certain customers.
What about certified firearms?
Do you, are there any issue with the certified firearms? The certification from State of California drop test?
Yeah, I'm not really into it. I really don't know, I mean, what it requires, so I can't really give an answer on that one because I haven't researched it or anything so far.
How many customers do you find that actually do have a gun safe at home? Is there a good number of them?
I think they do have it. I haven't taken any. I haven't asked any questions about that. I'm quite sure most of us who have a gun safe, you know.
Joe, do you belong to any self-defense organizations yourself?
No, I don't. Not myself, but I support all of them through contributions and, you know, donations and things like that.
Wonderful. Have you given any thought to who you would support for the governor of California?
I really don't want to get into politics because that's something that I just don't believe it's right for me to say.
My name is Karen Feeney, and I've been shooting competitively for about 14 or 15 years.
Do you travel around to shoot competitively?
We do. We just moved to California not too long ago, but we were East Coast shooters and shot in Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and traveled to the Grand American every year, which is in Ohio.
Are you primarily a shotgun shooter, or do you engage in other shooting sports?
Primarily shotgun.
On the subject of gun control, it's a very sensitive issue for a lot of people. Do you have opinions on that? Are there certain issues or legislation that have come down that has aroused your interest?
Yes, I would be offended or very upset if we were not allowed to pursue the sport that we enjoy. I believe that they do have a lot of laws already on the books, and I think probably if they would just enforce the ones they have, that everybody would be pleased with the results. And I don't think they would need to infringe on the rest of us anymore.
Have you personally been touched by gun legislation? Has there been any gun laws that have affected you directly?
No, I wouldn't say that it's affected me directly.
Have you traveled with your firearm as far as trying to take it on an aircraft?
I have. We do fly a lot. We have locked cases, and certainly have had to, you know, open the cases and fill out the forms and everything, which is fine. I mean, I have no problem with that at all. I mean, that's a good idea.
In your immediate family, are you the only one that's actively shooting, or are there other people?
No, my husband shoots and has been shooting longer than myself, and my son shoots. It's one of the nicest things is when we shoot as a family.
Your son, where did he get his training? Did he go to a formal session somewhere?
We lived in Kansas for a while and Pennsylvania, so he's been to a couple of hunter safety courses and done those. And then, of course, my husband has been in the firearms business for a while, for over 20 years actually, and so certainly he passed on a lot of you know, rules and regulations of the sport, you know, to my son as well.
How old is your son?
29.
29. Are you aware that there is legislation in California that says that a youngster below the age of 18 can't be in the vicinity of a loaded firearm that isn't locked safely?
No, I wasn't. We'd be in trouble. I mean, my son's been shooting since, I mean, he went to National Hunting and Sporting Day in October when he was as young as probably 8 years old. And they had instructors there and everything. And he got his first taste of target shooting there. So, yeah, that would upset me greatly.
Okay. And one final question. We have in California an upcoming governor's race. Have you given any thought to who you might vote for that position?
I know I would not vote for anyone who would want any further government.
And how do you propose to find out whether they're for or against gun control?
I would assume that they would have it on their platform. Most of them are pretty vocal about that.
Are you a member of any national gun organizations?
I am not. My husband and my son are both members of the NRA.
How you been shooting?
Vicki, I've been shooting since 1997.
How long have you been coming to the Triple B ranges here?
Oh, for the last 3 years.
So you're a competitive shooter. You've been
Yes.
most of the time has been competition,
Yes.
and you're primarily a shotgun shooter.
Right now, I've done different things. I've raced Odysseys for years, and then I raced motorcycles in the desert, and now
really?
I'm shooting competition.
Tell us a little bit about your shotgun there. Is it custom made? What's special on it?
Only thing special is, if you consider it special, the Bushnell Hollow sight. Picked it up and started shooting with it, and just love it. So I shoot most of the time.
You obviously enjoy your sport and you enjoy shooting.
Yes, I do.
Do you ever give any thought to gun control legislation, either things that have come and gone or things waiting in the wings?
Oh, I'm always worried that they're going to try to come and take the guns or make you register everything, which, you know, have different opinions on that.
Well, what opinions do you have as far as gun registration?
Gun registration. I don't know, maybe on certain guns, but, you know, for like sporting and maybe for hunting or something like that, I don't feel you ought to have to go in and have them all registered. That's just my opinion.
What about national firearms licenses where the government would require all gun owners to maybe pay a fee once a year just to be able to own guns?
Well, that's just one more fee that the public has to pay as far as I'm concerned.
Kind of like a creative tax.
Yes, that's exactly it.
I understand. Do you ever travel with your shotgun? Do you ever have to take it on an airplane?
I have when we flew to Vandalia, Ohio in '99.
That was in '99. Now here we are in 2002, and after the terrorist attack in New York City, a lot of the laws about transporting firearms have changed.
Right.
Have you thought about that?
No, I really haven't given too much thought. I think they're doing a good job in what they're doing. A lot of people are complaining, but they got to do what they've got to do to make it safe.
Do you, in your family, are you the only one that shoots?
No. My daughter, my husband, and myself all shoot.
So it's a family sport?
Yes, yes.
And how old is your daughter?
She is 23.
When did she start shooting?
We both started at the same time, July 1997.
As far as laws that say that children under the age of 18 can't be near or around a loaded firearm if that gun has a trigger lock on it, how do you feel about that?
Does that apply to here on the range, or
well,
mostly at home?
It probably is mostly at home, I think, is what we're aiming for.
I think a trigger lock's good. I mean, I've known some stupid people that are 16, 17 years old that shouldn't even be around a firearm, but I think, you know, trigger lock, that's an easy thing.
One last question here. We have the governor's election coming up here in California. Have you given any thought to who you might want to justify?
Not yet. I'm still kind of backing.
Would the gun issue be important for you in selecting a candidate?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Definitely. So if they were primarily strong on gun legislation, you might consider the other candidate.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
How long have you been shooting?
Well, my name is Joe Dillard. I've been shooting trap for about, I'd say, 13 years.
13 years is quite a long time. You must enjoy the sport.
I do, very much so.
And what do you shoot? Firearms other than shotguns?
From time to time, I would shoot a handgun as a pistol or a 9mm. We'd go out and do a little competition, some rifling and some hunting.
Wonderful. What type of hunting do you do?
We do a little bit of a rabbit and birds and some small varmints. Every once in a while we do that.
Do you travel when
Yes.
you hunt?
Yes, we do.
Oh.
Fortunately, we go pretty much all over these United States. We've been to many other states, Arizona, Texas, Ohio, Missouri, Tennessee. We just go all over.
Did the firearm regulations affect you when you travel?
Some. Most of the firearms regulations are if you purchase or you're carrying a rifle or pistol, it's a little bit difficult. So you have to really find out what are the local laws and around that. So you be careful with pistols and rifles.
So you do find out the local laws wherever you're planning on hunting?
Yes. California's a little different. In most states, if you're a resident of California, of course you won't be able to purchase long guns, being shotguns in other states, the waiting periods, and in some states you won't be able to buy the handgun at all.
Have you been affected personally purchasing any firearms here in the state of California due to these regulations?
Not at this time. I haven't bought a gun in a little while from the store, and new guns. I've got guns I've had for a long time, and most of my guns are hunting and competition guns, so we don't usually change too much.
I see. You mentioned that when you do hunt and you go from state to state, you do find out the regulations. Is there any particular sites that you use that would be helpful for people out there that they could find out the regulations from state to state?
I don't have the names and numbers, of course, at this time, but usually what we do is we go from one state to another one. We pretty much disassemble the firearm. And usually if you disassemble the firearm and separate the ammunition, and in some states we go into a certain state, we don't carry ammunition. We just have a disassembled gun. And usually if you get stopped or there's trouble, well, we don't have, ammunition.
So do you fly when you travel?
We fly sometimes, and then sometimes we go by car. But some of the longer distance from California, we fly.
Well, September 11th was quite a tragedy for this country. Have you traveled since for hunting?
I have not traveled. There's some friends of mine that have traveled, and they don't seem to be any problem. Of course, when you travel with handguns and long guns, of course, you have to declare it as a weapon, and it's disassembled, and then, of course, it goes into the luggage.
So you do that at the ticket counter?
You do that at the ticket counter, and you declare it, and, of course, it's got to be unloaded, and usually they don't want you to have any ammunition, so that's the way for that.
Is there a form that you fill out for that?
There's a little red tag that we usually fill out. They'll ask you if it's a firearm. You have to fill out the red tag and give them your name and IDs and all kinds of stuff. And of course, you have to declare that the weapon is unloaded.
We have an election coming up here next year in the state of California. Have you given any thought as to who you would support for candidate for governor?
At this time, I'm a little bit unaware of some of the laws, so I have a tendency to go a little bit to the right.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Yes,
thank you. We're here with Bruce Barisati, owner of Triple D Sporting Clays, and we want to thank you for allowing us to come out here and shoot a segment of American Rifleman News TV and allowing us to have access to your facilities today.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Bruce, can you tell us how long has this facility been in operation?
I'm going to guess about 20 years. We're the owners, actually. It's gun names, International Shooting Sports Center, and it became Pack Buyer, and it's now Triple D Clays.
And noticed that you have sporting clays also attached to the facility.
Yes, we do. That's kind of my background. I've been in sporting clays for 15 years, and that's my forte. We bought the place. I'm learning a lot about trap and ski and everything else. We're becoming a fully rounded facility.
Bruce, I know you've made a lot of changes to the facilities since you've taken it over last year, 2 years ago?
We're going into our third year.
Third year. And I know that a lot of the changes were to the sporting clays area.
Yes, like I say, from my previous background, we had another facility up north in Gonzales called River Road Sporting Place. We had 5 actual sporting courses there, and when we came here, the first thing we did was automate the sporting clay course, add a lot of variety of presentations, a lot of safety factors that I felt needed to be implemented, by the way. And we added several shooting positions to each station to add a lot more variety to everything that's going on right now.
Do you get a lot of shooters out here during the week?
Yes, we do. It's actually what's strange for me, coming from more of a background to an urban setting. People come here and shoot. It's only a part of what they do for the day. Their whole day is not coming to the range and shooting, where it was at the other club, where we had people that we were more of a destination resort. Here, they come and shoot for an hour or two, and then they go do the rest of the things with the family for that day.
Bruce, tell us about some of the training programs that you offer here for beginning shooters or shooters that just want to get better.
We have, I think it's 14 certified instructors through NSSA, which is the National Skeet Shooting Association, NSSA, which is NSCA, which is the National Sporting Goods Association, ATA, American Trap Shooters Association, and can't think of the last one.
One of those other acronyms.
One of the other ones. Yeah, there's just enough of them. Yeah. But we have 14 certified. We have beginner courses every evening here with Don Ziegler, who's one of our all-around instructors. He's not venue
specific. And he's here every night on weeknights teaching. On weekends we have a full complement of instructors here to give you instruction in one of the venues, whether it be trap, skeet, sporting plays, wing shooting, or whatever you might want to do.
And you have programs for children or youngsters that are interested in shooting?
Oh, we sure do. We have reduced rates. We have special youth seminars. We've got one coming up in sporting plays for kids and their parents. We kind of group them together. One of our saying is go out and break something with your kids, which we think is a great slogan.
That's great.
You mentioned wing shooting. Do you have hunter safety courses here?
We used to have hunter safety courses here. We don't anymore. We refer them to Turner Sporting Goods, who has weekly seminars. You can only do so much, and it just got to be a little too hectic.
Bruce, how many shooters do you get here on an average weekend?
On an average weekend, we probably have 250 to 350 shooters a day will come to the facility.
You're busy then.
Yes, we've got location. We're centrally located among 8 million people, and they've found that we've made a lot of changes to the place. We're user-friendly now. It's become real busy, and we're growing well beyond our expectations.
One last question, Bruce. We noticed a lot of celebrities here on the facilities today. Do you have a considerable amount of celebrities that come and visit you?
Yes, we do. We have quite a few, and I'll not name names right now because then people will come out to see them. But I was quite shocked at who does shoot here, and they're treated like anyone else. They like to come out and enjoy themselves and not be hounded for autographs and everything else. But some of the people that shot here, I was quite astounded.
Bruce, thank you for having us aboard today.
Thank you for your time.
You bet.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. You bet.
Hi, I'm Bruce Wayne. I've been a duck hunter for over 30 years. Over that time, I've seen people make a lot of mistakes. Most of which is not proper licensing, shells, and so forth. Let me address those. One of the first things you're going to need to get a license, of course, you have to have the safety permit beforehand to get the license. But then when you have the license, which is one of these, I like to carry it with my fishing license holder. It's kind of convenient. But the license itself has your name, address, telephone number, pertinent information, much like it's on your driver's license. It's also got your driver's license number. You must have your driver's license and your license with the proper stamps on the back of it. I have them all for both upland game bird, but there's also for duck. You need to have the state stamp and the federal stamp, and you need to sign those stamps too. These have to be in your possession at all times whenever you're hunting, and if you're not, that's a pretty hefty fine that the Fish and Game is going to put on you. A few of the other things is not having the right type of ammunition. Ammunition required for all waterfowl has to be non-toxic shot. In other words, steel. It can't be anything lead. Some people will use bismuth, tungsten, anything that causes the poison to the environment like lead can't be used. That's another violation. The Fish and Game will not only confiscate your weapon, they'll confiscate all your ducks, they'll take away your license, and you could lose your privileges to hunt for a very, very long time. So you need to look at the shell, and it'll say right on the shell, steel. Make sure you have that. Very important. Another thing that people do is they don't have the proper identification or knowing the type of species of birds. Now, in the 48 states, you're allowed to carry, the limit now for a bag is 7 ducks. But you need to know the species of your ducks because certain ducks you can only take so many of. Canvasbacks, pintails, redheads, and so forth. One of the things I like to use, and it's a very good reference guide, is this book right here. It shows all the birds in good detail with color, and I use this as a reference sometimes if I'm not sure exactly what kind of a duck I might have. Hens usually are harder to tell in some species because they have similar coloring. This book will show you not only the male but the female species of the ducks, and it also shows you what the ducks look like in flight. So species identification is extremely important too. Good book to have, and even after almost 35 years of hunting, I still carry it myself because I still get caught up once in a while. A few other things to remember: make sure that if you have a tubular magazine shotgun, like an automatic or a pump action shotgun, you need to have a plug because there can be no more than 3 rounds in the weapon at any time. Any more than that, that's another serious violation. Anyhow, those are some of the main things that are taken that the Fish and Game will have a problem with, and you need to address those things. Collars are always handy to draw them in. But anyhow, let me get finished here, and I'm going to go hunting. Hope to see you out there.
Hey Bruce, that was an interesting day today, wasn't it, when we went out there to the Triple B's sporting clays?
Yes, it was. A lot of guys out there that like to shoot, and I always like to see people shooting.
It was.
It's also nice to get their opinions on some of the way the gun laws are trying to take away our rights to have guns.
You know, what was interesting to me was that not a lot of people really knew what the new gun laws were, or did they?
Well, they say ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law, but I think the more informed we are, the more informed everybody is, the less chances that the liberal bureaucrats are going to be able to have the ability to take our guns away from us and the right to do things like shooting clays or hunting ducks or dove or pistol competition and so forth.
Yeah, but you know what I noticed? I noticed a lot of people didn't have any real trepidation with registration. They figured those at least those shooting sporting clays people and the trap and skeet people, they didn't seem to have any worry about their guns being taken away, and they just felt that. I mean, I was just, that's a general feel. What do you think?
Well, I always like to throw caution to the wind, but somehow I see where people are going to just they're going to cry foul when it's too late and there's nothing anybody's going to be able to do about it. And that's what I'm afraid of.
It was interesting about our discussion after we went out there and we saw Bruce, who's the owner of Triple B's, saying he's under tremendous pressure from county government to just close his range.
Well, county governments have been trying to do away with guns because of gang violence, and they're trying to do everything to justify their means to take away the guns from all the law-abiding citizens. And I hate to say it sounds cliche, but it's going to get to the point someday where the only people who are going to have guns are the criminals. And the honest citizen, the law-abiding citizen, is going to be able to protect himself.
Yeah, did you notice in that recent California law, they're talking about if you've got someone under 18 in your house now, and you have a loaded any type of firearm, you can go to jail, and that's whether it's your own children or whether it's somebody else's children.
Well, you know, I've always had firearms in my house, whether I was growing up with my parents or my kids are growing up with me. The same thing that I did with my kids is what my father did with my brother and I, and my sisters, where they taught us to respect firearms. They weren't toys. They need to be handled, even if they are toys, in a certain way. It's a pretty serious thing when you pick up a firearm and you point it at somebody. It's not a toy, and every year there's a lot of people that wind up getting hurt tremendously.
Well, I think we discussed that. I think we discussed that a little bit when we said there's 3 types of firearm owners. There's the ones that are believe in safety and in self-defense, and then you've got the hunters, and then you've got the people that are the political activists, and maybe those don't always match, and maybe we need a better education for the general public about things.
Well, education is definitely the key.
Well, listen,
more people know.
American Rifleman News Television, I'll tell you, that's what we're going to try to do here. Anyway, it's been a great day.
It's been a wonderful day.
It's a wrap.